Hello? Recently, the US Treasury Department has warned that the government could default on its debt on June 1st if the country's Congress does not pass a bill to raise the debt ceiling. Specifically, US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said in a letter to Congress on May 1st that her agency will have difficulty fulfilling all of the government's payment obligations on the first day of June if lawmakers do not take action related to the debt ceiling. In a letter to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and other leaders, Yellen emphasized that the department's estimates show it will be unable to continue meeting all of the government's financial obligations in early June, at the earliest by June 1st, if Congress does not either raise or suspend the debt limit before then. Yellen also added that if the debt ceiling is not raised, U.S. businesses will face a deteriorating credit market. The government may stop providing liquidity payments to military families and elderly people relying on Social Security benefits. According to previous forecasts, the U.S. government could default on June 5. However, Yellen believes this could happen sooner due to fluctuations in federal budget revenues and expenses, making it difficult to predict the exact timing of when the Treasury will be unable to pay the government's bills. Yellen also urged Congress to act quickly to raise the debt ceiling. After the U.S. reached its borrowing limit of $31.4 trillion on January 19, Yellen told Congress that the Treasury would continue to pay federal aid and other expenditures by using special cash management measures to avoid default risk. However, this cannot continue indefinitely, and the Treasury Secretary's new warning forced President Joe Biden to call for a meeting with top congressional leaders on May 9, including the Speaker of the House, Republican member. Biden also called on Democratic leaders in the House, as well as Republican leaders in the Senate, to arrange the meeting. However, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives and the Democratic-controlled Senate still disagree on the debt ceiling bill, especially the conditions that the Republican Party wants the U.S. government to fulfill in order to avoid default. The House wants to pass a bill raising the debt limit by an additional $1.5 trillion, but with conditions such as cutting spending by $4.5 trillion, reducing the budget for healthcare for the poor, and other items including tax incentives for solar energy and other green energy sources. However, the Democratic-controlled Senate has announced that it will not pass this bill. If Congress cannot reach an agreement on a modification bill before June 1st, the U.S. government may face an unprecedented default when it is unable to pay some bills. President Biden has declared that he will not accept negotiations involving conditions for raising the debt ceiling, but will also discuss budget cuts after the new debt ceiling is passed. The U.S. Congress usually combines increasing the debt ceiling with other expenditure and budget measures. In 2011, a similar debt ceiling battle led to the risk of default and a downgrade of the country's credit rating. This time, negotiations are expected to be even more difficult. Budget analysts at the Bipartisan Policy Center believe that the risk of default within a few weeks is not appropriate for a country considered to be the foundation of the financial system and will only increase uncertainty in an already volatile economy. The U.S. debt ceiling battle may continue for many years, with welfare programs such as Social Security and healthcare consuming a large portion of the budget and expected to increase significantly as the population ages. The U.S. government faces the risk of being unable to meet its financial obligations and could default as early as the beginning of June. According to analysts, Republican lawmakers are determined to push through a limit bill that would promote growth in the House of Representatives to strengthen their position in negotiations with President Biden. However, this bill is unlikely to become law because of opposition from the Democratic-controlled Senate. This impasse increases the risk of the U.S. government defaulting for the first time. According to a source, President Biden mentioned raising the debt ceiling and preventing the risk of default. If the debt ceiling is not raised or suspended, the government runs the risk of being unable to make payments, seriously affecting the economy. According to AFP news agency, President Joe Biden's Council of Advisors has issued warnings about the possibility of an economic disaster if the U.S. defaults. 8 million jobs could disappear in just one summer, and the country's gross domestic product could decline by 6% compared to current levels. The president's economic advisors also warned that the stock market could lose up to 45% of its value in the third quarter of 2023. The council also emphasized that if the government stops making payments for a very short period of time, unemployment rates will increase, especially as the U.S. economy is entering a recession. Therefore, President Biden is trying to reach an agreement with Congress to raise the debt ceiling before June 1st, when the U.S. Treasury Department predicts it will reach the limit. If this happens, the government will have to cut many expenses, including debt repayment. The US officially reached the debt ceiling in January 2023, but the government took special measures to maintain it. However, the Treasury Secretary has warned that this cannot be sustained any longer. Increasing or suspending the debt ceiling has long been a mandatory procedure in the US, but in this round of negotiations, the White House and Congress have not reached an agreement. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives demands an increase in the debt ceiling with conditions to cut the budget. Meanwhile, President Biden and the Democratic Party insist on increasing the ceiling without any conditions. So can the US government avoid default? Let's wait and see. Thank you for watching the video. Please leave your comments and subscribe now to never miss a video, and let's learn together. See you again.